Yes, welcome to Bushido 3 Talk Show. We are joined today with Bobby Lee out of Minnesota. Hi, Bobby.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, and you?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here.
Good, good. Yeah, so we're just catching up a little bit ago, and I just want to let the people know who Bobby Lee is. So tell me a little bit about you.
I am a MMA fighter out of Minnesota. I've been training for 6 years now out of high school. So that's been what I've been doing for a handful of years now. And I've been training jujitsu from the start. And I've got my purple belt with Brock Larson, and he's had a big impact on my career. He's recommended me to like go and travel and go to different places, and then I started training at the Cellar with Coach Chris, and now I'm like ranking up in Muay Thai, and I had a pro Muay Thai fight. So like I've got great coaches, and I'm this close to being to that next level show, whether it's Bellator or the UFC. Right now, we're probably thinking LFA because they're regional. They're going to put on events here. It sounds like Bellator is overseas for a while, so because it's a weird time. But
Right.
LFA sounds like what's next.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I came up and I saw a couple of your fights when I started training more in the Minnesota area with Coach Chris Sakona of the Cellar Gym. We've been friends for, man, many, many years. And I remember seeing you, and then I was like, I think that guy's got something special. And then one of the nights I was up there, because I mean, I'm up there a lot. And I remember one night you did a jumping knee and finished a guy. How did that feel?
That was cool. That was my first fight at welterweight,
Uh-huh.
and it was the first flying knee in LFA. So I hold that. That's a good stat to have.
Mm-hmm.
You think flying knee, and you think maybe like 6 feet in the air, which
Yeah.
he kind of ducked down into it, but it was the timing of it that made it
Mm-hmm.
so cool.
But your
Um,
feet left the ground though, right?
no, yeah, I was airborne,
Yep.
technically flying.
Yep,
Doesn't
definitely.
matter if it's that high above the ground.
Hey, it doesn't matter. It's up there. Definitely. And one of the things that I like to talk about is your evolution as a martial artist. So you started off in sports with wrestling. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So okay, now I'll add to that. So like, yeah, I started wrestling in kindergarten,
Yeah.
but I didn't do so hot. My dad told me to pick the biggest guy in the room,
Hmm.
the biggest kid in the practice to work with, because that's how you get better faster.
Okay.
That advice was maybe a little too young, because I got cradled by the second grader. Like, cradle, he drove my knee into my face,
Oh.
and I didn't love wrestling after that, so I kind of quit wrestling. I
Hmm.
played hockey for a little bit, but I came back to it as like a elementary school, so like fifth grade.
Hmm.
Uh, no, I started kindergarten, but I quit there for a second. It was a little much early, so be careful with putting your kids in wrestling and telling them to pick on the bigger kids. That doesn't
Right.
work.
No, not at all. So yeah, that's really cool that you did go back to wrestling. And then when did you start jujitsu then?
So now here's the thing: is I was pretty into jujitsu at the same time I was into wrestling. So
Hmm.
I now that made my jujitsu that's much better because I was like learning wrestling for jujitsu, but
Hmm.
but it made me a little bit too okay with being exposed to my back for wrestling. So that was
Oh.
never very cool. That was or frustrating for coaches because it's like,
Hmm.
why is he going to his back? That's not what you do in this sport. But I would say middle school, I started getting into jujitsu. And what's cool about that is I was learning off of YouTube
Hmm.
and And then I asked my dad, hey, there's this tournament maybe like 20 minutes away. Can I go to it? And first words out of his mouth was, no, you don't know what you're doing. And I said, no, let me prove it. Let me prove you. Let me show you what I can do. And I
Hmm.
went to that jiu-jitsu tournament, my first jiu-jitsu tournament, having never had a jiu-jitsu practice, and I hit a
Right.
flying arm bar, and that
Whoa.
flying arm bar was 9 seconds. And it felt good. It felt good. So I won my first jiu-jitsu tournament, and my dad was like, "Okay, well, this might be a thing for you."
Hmm. Very
My,
nice.
my dad was so today's Father's Day, and I
Hmm.
miss my dad. He helped me a lot, like things like providing me with like a wrestling mat and a heavy bag in my basement to work on stuff. Like, not a lot of kids got to have a heavy bag or whatever, so
Right.
I got to learn off of YouTube and practice my flying knee at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
uh, so yeah, so shout out to my dad, Father's Day. And then like all my coaches too, like they father figures like alongside with them. So like football coaches, wrestling coaches, I've had good influences, and so like today's the day to mention that for sure.
All right. So you've been very athletic throughout your life. I take it from that. So you've done hockey, football,
Yeah, soccer was the
wrestling.
first one.
Oh, soccer too. Okay, it's soccer, and then jujitsu also, and then kickboxing and Muay Thai later on.
Yeah, track and field, just like body awareness, body
Yeah.
control. So like I threw discus, and
Okay.
like that's a great little like way to learn how to control your body in space. That helps. That's a tornado kick for you.
Yeah.
Which have those.
Nice. Yeah, I've definitely seen the growth of your martial arts career because I remember, like I was telling you at first, it was like you're really heavy on the grappling, and then now you look so comfortable with your stand up. It's like obviously you're doing MMA, and you do pick where you want to fight. You've been able to keep the fight standing. You've been able to strike with guys that are considered good strikers and overwhelm them with solid low kicks and solid punching. I mean,
So to add to that, early on in my career, it was always like every fight goes to the ground. That's
mm-hmm,
true. That happens. Every fight will go to the ground at some point.
mm-hmm.
But now in my career, it's more like every single start of the round starts on your feet. So to where do you go from there? If you don't have good striking, you're never going to get your takedown. And if you don't have good striking, you don't make it to the higher levels. I mean,
Right.
you look at the best guys in the sport, maybe like Michael Chandler in Bellator. He's
Mm-hmm.
not working on his berimbolo, or I mean maybe he is, but like he's not working on his donkey guard.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
like the grappling I've done, so like yes, I did a lot of gi work early on in my career, which is like a great way to build your jiu-jitsu. You have to be patient, you have to be slow, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't wear the material in the cage. So
Mm-hmm.
that martial art of having handles, I never depended on the handles too much, like those gi grips.
Mm-hmm.
So like my evolution, like yeah, there's a lot of gi grappling early on with Brock, but now it's more like every fight starts on the feet, so it's like I have to improve my stand up that much
Mm-hmm.
more. Now my mindset is more like, definite stand up, and then even on grappling, it's more no gi grips. That's why Khabib's the best in the world. He knows how to use
Right.
his legs,
Mm-hmm.
and so I mean that's where folk style wrestling comes in. That's a big advantageous thing to have done
Mm-hmm.
for no gi control. But so like yeah, now my last fight was Muay Thai. Like it's so crazy to think about that. It's been so long since I've had a fight because of this weird COVID break.
Mm-hmm.
Last fight was a pro Muay Thai. Totally different.
Yeah. So basically, you can say, hey, you're pro MMA and pro Muay Thai, man. You're just racking up all these pro athletic attributes.
Yes, I love it. And like so I even to add on to that, there's pro jiu-jitsu matches in there. Fight to
Mm-hmm.
win,
Yeah.
all subs, all slams, best rule set ever.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, when you did your pro Muay Thai, how did that turn out? I didn't follow that one as well. I knew that you did it, but did you get the win out of that?
I did. And
Mm-hmm.
what was cool, the most cool thing about that event for me was it was at 160, which, that's not that far away from 55, but it's I don't walk around at 160. So like for me to get down to under 160 felt really good. My opponent didn't make weight. He just chose not to. And because we weren't getting paid. It was a pro fight, but it was a short notice thing, and it's like they're
Yeah.
just trying to put bouts on this card. And it was like get the experience. So
Mm-hmm.
I had the experience of getting down on weight again to 160, and then I went and fought 3 rounds for the fight, and I don't I'm not gonna say I did not get hit, but I was never in danger, and I showed my control and like growth and skill set. I
Mm-hmm.
he was a southpaw. I banged the right kick up on his forearms the whole time, and
Yeah.
a couple axe kicks that were off by like 3 feet, but they look cool.
Yeah.
My mom and my sister went, and they said it was the most boring thing they've ever been to.
Well,
They were
it's like a chess match. Muay Thai is definitely like a chess match. It's one of those things where you are trying to break them. It's sometimes you take a couple of his hits and you give them some more, and then you give them a little bit more and try to break them. Yeah.
if people have never been kicked here and had to block it on the floor, they don't know how hard that hurts and makes someone want to like back away a little bit and then maybe not engage. So, I mean, I was moving forward the whole time, and even the last 10 seconds of the last round, which I know I'm ahead on the scorecards, I'm still going forward. I wanted that knockout, the last second knockout.
Yeah.
Best case scenario in any fight ever would be like to win the exchanges and control distance and control the tempo, and then get that knockout with 5 seconds left. After winning, even with the decision in the books, but like get that late knockout. Didn't happen this time, but maybe next.
Yeah, maybe next time, because I know that there's going to be a lot of opportunities after this whole COVID thing gets figured out, whether it's MMA for you, whether it's kickboxing, Muay Thai boxing, and pro jiu-jitsu. You're going to have a lot of different avenues because there's a lot of athletes right now chomping at the bit to do something. Definitely.
This is really cool to finally get a chance to speak about it because like you said, there's no fights happening. There's no one getting their voices out there. And this is one of the few times I can say, hey, I'm really ready to compete. I want to make 155 and I want to get to Bellator and I want to, or the UFC, or like, just give me a chance to compete. Let me show you my skills that I've been working on.
Yeah, definitely. I'd have to say that I know that you're a hardworking fighter. When I was training in 2019 for my fight in the Netherlands, you're one of my training partners, and I loved training with you. You pushed me all the time, and it was always like every time I'd come back, I'd say, okay, what do I got to work on this time because I'm going against Bobby? And you know how to push guys, and you have that drive in your body to be a champion too. So, I mean, hey, people around you are definitely benefiting from that.
I've got good people. I mean, it's easy. What is it? What do they say? Attitude reflects upon leadership. So like, I've got great leaders in my life.
Yeah.
And
tell me about the two gyms.
I didn't mention. Say again, one more time.
Tell me about the 2 gyms that you train at.
What I was just gonna say was like, I don't think I mentioned Ben Locken. Like, he's another great voice to have, and he's important. He's an important person in my camp, in my circle. But yeah, the Cellar, there's tons of great striking there, and yeah, they have great grappling. I get my no-gi grappling in there too. But like, just I go there for the striking. I mean, Coach Chris is one of the best striking coaches in the world, and it's nice to have him get recognized for that because yes, he's a Team USA coach, and that should mean a lot to a lot of people. But a lot of people like that doesn't mean anything. Team USA kickboxing, they don't hear anything. Conor McGregor, one of the best strikers in the world. Like, that's the money fight. When Cowboy gets the fight, he calls Coach Chris. That's what was important to me. And like, more than that, he's been in the corners of some really good people like Nate Richardson and Pam. Pam's a world champ. You know, that's cool to say. Very cool to work with her. And then Brock. No one has anything ever to say bad about Brock. He's just the best. He's the best guy.
He's done it all, been everywhere. Definitely, I'd have to say, as I've picked up some things and looked at Brock's career. Yeah,
I think about it often. His Melvin Manhoef fight. Like they show that on the ONE FC Instagram all the time now. Like Melvin, like him running away, sprinting away from Melvin Manhoef. As if Melvin Manhoef went on to TKO him, but that's not how that fight happened. Like Brock won that fight, and like he almost submitted him. The ref like prevented his hands from like tapping.
Right.
Yeah, but why did we bring that up? The running.
We're just talking about how good your camps are that you're training at. I mean, definitely. I have to second what you're saying, definitely about the Cellar, since that's the place I train at when I'm in Minnesota. I mean, everyone there that's on staff, all the way from Chris to Ben Loken to everybody else that's an instructor there, awesome people. The martial artists, the fighters, it's like an awesome family to be around, especially every time I'm there. Everybody's like, "Oh, hey," I'm like, "Wow, they actually." Hey, cool. When they remember who you are and people want to spar with you and work out with you, it's a great place. So you definitely have two good gyms that you're training at.
The energy in that place it's my favorite. Like when there's like what 40 people on the mat doing Muay Thai, and then on the
Yeah,
other mat it's like 40 people
40.
rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And the place is bumping, and just like it's my favorite thing in the world, because like what do I want to do more than anything is like get people moving and feeling good. So like
Mm-hmm.
that's my and being able to coach at the cellar now, like coach
Yeah.
kickboxing classes. There's an
Mm-hmm.
outlet where I get to like share some of my knowledge and share some of my energy and get people moving, and
Mm-hmm.
like hopefully learning some striking and having fun while they're doing it. Like it's the best. Couldn't be more grateful to be there.
Right. And you even came down to Madison, Wisconsin before and helped out one of my fighters.
That was so cool. Like
Yeah.
that was a great experience for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
those things, they're like big growth points. They're like I remember, oh, that happened, and I almost fought one of your guys.
Yeah.
That would have been cool, but
Yep, yep. Because I tell everybody I would not mind with if Chan fights you one day because you're both pros now, and it's one of those things where we don't look at it as I gotta hate this guy to fight him. It's like playing basketball or football does. It's like, hey, we just want to see who's gonna win and see whose will's going to be imposed, who has a good game plan, and that's exactly how we look at it. Definitely.
that's a great point to mention, because before we started the episode, we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about like how weird things are right now,
Mm-hmm.
and like uh, on top of the pandemic, but like
Yeah.
the elephant in the room is that's my favorite thing about MMA, is because it's people of all walks of life, of every corner of the globe, and they when they get on the mats, there's no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Christian, Muslim, black, white, it doesn't matter. They shake hands. Like grappling is grappling, striking is striking. People
Mm-hmm.
train. It's there's a picture of I mean we're all just one just when we were on the mats,
Yeah.
when martial arts brings everyone together.
The only colors we have in mixed martial arts and kickboxing that I can speak for is red and blue. Red corner and blue corner. That's it. So the tape on your gloves, that's the only time it matters. And after that, it's like hug it out, shake it out, respect it, and let bygones be bygones.
Yes. And so like,
Indeed.
yeah, I trained with Chan. He was cool to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down and ate with the guy. It's like, you don't have, there's no need for animosity, but like when we start talking about Bellator fights, UFC fights, now we're talking about like these big money opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I tend to get angry, but I mean, I just really want to get that moment,
Mm-hmm.
under those lights and get that win. But you have to do is you have to go through another guy to get there, and
Yeah.
it's no one wants to lose.
No, and it might be the guy you broke bread with maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's like, hey, bro, I want to eat another day. You're in my way today. I got to remove you. And hey, there's no hard feelings because we're all trying to get to that. It's an individual sport. And hey, who's ever to say that you beating person A doesn't mean that you can't turn around and help person A out later on in your career.
There was a fight that happened between Machida and Mark Munoz.
Mm-hmm.
They were teammates. They had worked together like multiple times, like often. But they ended up fighting. He didn't need to, so like he just totally reserved, and then waited for his former training partner to wake up, and then he went and
Mm-hmm.
bombed dinner. So it's like
Yep.
there's like who maybe like Conor McGregor. He brought a lot of like maybe like hype to the sport. He said all these awful things about Habib,
Yeah.
which is, I don't know if you've listened to
remember.
Habib.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. He's not a bad human being.
Mm-hmm.
So it just brought like a bad vibe to the sport, and like that's where one championships is really cool. So it's just all about martial arts, but
Mm-hmm.
so the UFC markets this bad blood all the time because it sells. it sells when it's genuine. Like
Right.
Adesanya Sanya and John Jones, that's gonna
Yeah.
sell well.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
but I mean, maybe those two guys aren't gonna hang out, be friends after the fight. Does it
Right.
matter? I don't know, but like,
Yeah.
it doesn't. I don't have any beef. I don't have any beef in my life. See, like the guy who beat me, or gave me my first professional loss, Jeff Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
He's offered me more than once to like come out and train with him in California. There's no like, I want to fight him again to get that
Mm-hmm.
one back. But like, if he invited me out to train, maybe I'll just train with him. Maybe I don't have to get that one back. You know,
Right.
it was
It's
a
not like
learning
you're
lesson.
gonna. You're right. It's not like you're gonna walk around a mean look on your face every time you see him. I want to fight him, and that's the only person I want to fight. You got other things to worry about. Like, hey, that might not be the fight that gets you into the big shows. This other fight over here that you're not even looking at might be the one that gets you in the big show. So it's like, hey, not worry about him and just worry about what's next.
Whenever like I'm going to practice, like it's always
Mm-hmm.
a little. There's always that little bit of nervousness in your. I don't know what other people feel, but I have this little nervousness in my stomach before like a sparring session or conditioning,
Yeah.
or even if it's just jujitsu. It's just like, okay, I mean, maybe we roll tonight, and I get tapped 30 times tonight by different, like, because I get maybe I get heavyweight, then I get Brock, then I get heavyweight again. Who knows? Maybe I'll get squished. But so I have this like little tension before practice, but then
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, after you survive, the ordeal that is, rolling or sparring, I'm just happy to be alive. Like it's like no, you go, like in traffic, So it's like
Mm-hmm.
there's just peace of mind that comes with martial arts. And Jocko Wilnick will talk about like jujitsu is like is one of the best skill sets that you can like apply yourself to.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I like about the martial arts, and we were talking about it earlier, was it helps you keep a kind of, keep your emotions in check, helps you reevaluate certain things, helps you look for different options because being a martial artist, no matter what art it is, whether it's a striking art, that's my background in striking, whether it's jujitsu, trying to lay a trap for somebody, you're already thinking two steps ahead. Oh, if I throw this jab, if we're talking stand up, oh, I just want to see what his guards are going to do. Is he going to slip it so then I can throw a head kick, or is he going to parry so I can go right over the top of something? So it gives us those options that we can think of. And then we can apply those same things outside of the ring, where, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this right now, or what? No, I'm not going to say that right now. It's about not holding back on saying the truth, but it's also being strategic in certain things that we do to get to that final part where we want to be at.
Right, like there's always give and take. It's
Mm-hmm.
not always push. There's a little bit of holding back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, um, what's your preference, I guess, to come out of the COVID season with? What type of fight do you prefer to have coming out? Would you like something that's kind of warm up, or would you like something that puts you straight into the fire?
Best case scenario is I think it's July 25th. Um, it could be July 24th or 31st. I don't know which one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, LFA co-main event. There's the lightweight world championship happening. Bryce
Yeah.
Logan versus someone else. I don't know. I thought Bryce Logan was in the world championship title fight.
Mm-hmm.
Co-main event of that would be awesome. So that's what I'm hoping for. I've
Mm-hmm.
not heard anything. I know that my manager and my coaches are talking to Mark Beery, LFA.
Mm-hmm.
So they're talking LFA because they're putting on events, but I don't know anything right now. I know I need
Mm-hmm.
I know I need to be able to make 55 or in like 3 weeks, a month out.
Yeah.
I'm 20 pounds over,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm always ready to go for it.
Right. So, 155 is your chosen weight, and you fought welterweight a couple times. Was that due to anything? Was it, hey, we need you at short notice, or was it because there was some issues, or why did you fight welterweight?
It's making 55 was a trouble
Mm-hmm.
for a little. Missed weight against Ammerman. I missed weight against Mota. And that missing weight against Mota was like, hey, you need to bump up or we won't give you a fight. So I
Mm-hmm.
bumped up, and then I started bringing it back down again.
Mm-hmm.
The guys at 170, they're tall, they're long,
Yeah.
they're for me at 170, I'm comfortable, but everyone knows I'm a 55er. That's where I belong.
Yeah.
You know,
How tall are
height
you?
5'9".
Okay, so we're the same height. Yeah.
5'9", 71 inch
Okay.
reach. So like that's not at 55. I'm not going to be the biggest guy either, but
You're a
I'll have
pretty
a
big 55er. Comparative to some of the 55ers, I guess I can talk for what I've seen around here. You're a big 55er for around here. Maybe at the higher levels,
I'd be
maybe.
top half. I'd be top half of the class, like big, but not top like 10%
Height.
for sure.
Right. Right. Gotcha. Yeah, I know in my last fight, I'm 5'9". The guy I fought was like 6'2", almost 6'3", and I was just
Oh
like, oh
no.
God, I was so mad. I was like, well, it's either it's take the fight, Lawrence. That's the only thing. And all those months leading up to it, it was like, hey, I gotta fight this guy. That's who they got in front of me. I hate tall guys, definitely. If a guy's
Tall,
five
long
nine,
guys, that's the
yeah,
worst.
yeah. If a guy's 5'9", okay, let's do it. More than
I
that, and and so I don't like him that tall. Mm-mm.
I would rather fight short and stocky 10 times out of 10. Like long
Yeah.
and lanky. It's just I was fighting Maycon Mendonca, and we thought him at 170. We didn't think he was that sturdy, or I didn't think he was that sturdy, or like built, because he was a
Hmm.
55er, and at
Yeah.
55 he was a string bean, but he's
Hmm.
a tall guy, and he filled out as he moved up weight classes, whereas I was just not cutting.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember seeing one of my other guys I had fought before, and I remember at weigh-ins he looked really small. I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I got this guy," and then he blew up. I was like, "Oh shoot, I didn't. Wow, that's a good comeback right there. That's a good weight cut. He had a good cut and a good refuel." I was like, "Okay, yeah, you put on probably almost 20." You could
But
almost
he
just tell.
put in his water.
Yeah, it was like a good suck down. I know for my last one, I weighed in 173 right on the dot, and then I was 185, 186 because I was reading out in kilograms, so I'm having to guess. I was like 185, 186 the next day, so I felt pretty good at that. Didn't want to spill over too much. Yeah.
What's the most you put on in like 24 hours?
Uh, about 15 pounds usually. Yeah, 10, 15 pounds. Yeah.
My my dad used to talk about him going to the state wrestling tournament and
Hmm.
putting on 11 pounds in 6 hours. I swear I
Oh,
heard that story so many times. 11 pounds in 6 hours.
oh
And
my
for the
gosh.
longest time, it was impressive
Hmm.
until I did my first MMA weight cut. And then I
Yeah.
put on like 20 in like 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, my one of mine, I did a huge. I was doing bodybuilding for a while, and I remember I weighed in at 153 pounds for the show, and then by Sunday I was like a full 20 pounds bigger because I got to eat a ton of food and after that. But I was just like, I could totally feel. I felt heavy. I looked good because my muscles filled back out, but I was just like, oh gosh, I think I ate too much, and I couldn't eat for like another day or two. Yeah, because my stomach shrank.
How much bodybuilding did you do?
I did 16 shows. Yeah, I almost
That's a
turned
lot of
pro.
show.
Yeah. I started competing at 16 years old. Yep.
I was listening to a little bit of Ronnie Coleman the other day, and
Oh yeah.
just thinking about how just giant he was.
Yeah. I got to meet him a couple times. When I first got back from Iraq, I went over, took my mom out to Vegas and got to see go see the show. And then we were eating breakfast, and he was huge, dude. I mean, huge. When you see a pro bodybuilder, it's just like, oh my gosh, because he was about 287. They said that day when he did the show. It's huge.
The numbers that guy was doing, they're talking about him doing like 600-pound squats,
Yeah,
but like 12 times.
yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about his training was he definitely liked keeping his reps high, 12 to 15 reps. I'm just like, whoa, dude. Anytime I wanted my muscles to grow, I did 6 to 8 reps. And he'd always swear, if you want your muscles to grow, you got to volumize it 12 to 15 reps. And sometimes I crank out 20 with a heavy weight, not moderate. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, man, it's just
Isn't
crazy.
that interesting that we like our interest went from like bodybuilding
Yeah,
then to more martial arts, and now we want to be able to like kick someone in the head, and do
yeah,
you need an 800-pound squat to do that?
not at
And does it
all.
help you? I mean, does it?
Uh, I would say some weightlifting, if some will
To
help you. Yeah, it probably give you that what
up
five
to
or
a
ten.
level, and then
Yeah,
after it's no good. You're
right,
diminishing returns.
right.
Um,
Because it's about the technique. Also, it's like what can you make that body part do for you? Like if you're gonna throw a middle kick, I'd rather take a little bit of a step and let my body bring that middle kick, versus me standing in place and just popping it, because it's harder to generate power. So you learn how to generate power by footwork, and by technique. It doesn't matter if you could squat 500-600 pounds if you can't actually open that hip up properly, to throw that kick.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
But
you talk about conditioning. I mean, if you're a power lifter, can you kick the bag for 45 minutes or like eat anything?
mm,
It's difficult. It's difficult to move around the muscle.
definitely, because I try to do both at the same time, bodybuilding and martial arts. I had to put martial arts competing on off to the side because there's so much more money for me to make or potentially make that was in bodybuilding because I was sponsored at the time. So I was like, okay, I'll still continue to do martial arts, but I just won't fight. I'll do bodybuilding, and it just seemed like I found myself sort of gravitating more into that bodybuilding world. But then when I'd go back to sparring, I started getting beat up, and I was like, okay, um, we got to find this median or whatever. Yeah, because I couldn't bring my guards in. I was never really huge, but my biceps were actually growing, and it was like. I was more like out here or like this. And I mean, I was only like on my off season, I'd be like roughly 200 pounds. And it was like guys were just killing my ribs. And I was like, all right, we got to stop this. So luckily
It's
I
it's
did.
really interesting to see the difference in physique and body type. Like there's this
Mhm.
meme of what people think an MMA fighter looks like, and
Yeah.
it's a picture of like I think it's Dom M something, but he's the bro science guy. But it's all shoulders
Hmm.
and like arms out here, and like that's what people think an MMA fighter is. And then it's a
Yeah.
picture of Justin Gaethje with
Yeah.
glasses on, looking like a nerd. He
Yeah.
doesn't look like a super athlete at all.
And he is
Um,
a super athlete, definitely. What'd you think of his last fight?
I was just gonna ask that
Hmm.
Tony Ferguson Gaethje fight.
Hmm.
Well, maybe it was because of the lead up to it, with like the world shutting down and it
Hmm.
being the only sporting event for like a month.
Hmm.
It was a good one. It was so entertaining. Like it
It
was
was.
edge of your seat. I don't know what's gonna happen next. And then that final like jab to Ferguson's face where he started shaking his face is like, oh,
Yeah.
what happened? Um, I really wanted to see Ferguson Habib.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
But man, that fight, Hall of Fame instant. Like how they introduce fights, individual fights to Hall of Fame. I think
Yeah.
that will be in Hall of Fame someday.
Yeah, I think that should be there. That was an awesome fight. I don't know, as I was listening to a lot of the media and things and watching the build up, and one of the things that came out was Ferguson was cutting. He cut weight twice in preparation for
Yes,
this fight, and
three,
I don't.
3 weeks out.
Yeah, and I don't know if that had some, that could have played a part in this loss.
Gaethje was on Rogan's podcast like immediately after his
Hmm.
win, and he was talking about how when their original fight was called off, April 18th.
Yeah.
That was when Ferguson made weight. When that Gaethje, the same day that Ferguson made weight, he was like 180. Like he had eaten a burger, he had totally reset. He was ready to go for three
Yeah.
more weeks of hard training and making the weight.
Hmm.
And to be honest, I think that played a huge role. I don't know if the fight goes the same if Tony Ferguson doesn't do the weight cut 3 weeks out. But also at the same time, if he makes weight 3 weeks out, he made the weight easier. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, but doesn't it? I haven't had to cut tons of weight, but at certain times. But wouldn't you say that when you're cutting weight, if you he's never had an issue that's been verbalized saying that he has a tough time cutting weight. But when he posted that picture of him making weight, he did look a lot different than what he usually does. I'd have to say he looked more drawn.
I would always say Tony Ferguson looks like the scariest motherfucker on the planet.
Yeah,
His back ears and his like
yeah,
sunken
sunken.
cheeks.
Yeah.
His cheeks are sunken in all the time. He looks
Hmm.
like he lives off of blood. I mean,
He's lean. Yeah, definitely.
what's his nickname?
El Kukui. El.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Oh, Bob, you get to fight Tony Ferguson on 1 month's notice. I mean, I'd sign that contract, but I'd be so upset. Why Tony Ferguson? This is terrible management.
Right. What would be your dream fight, whether it's in UFC or
GSP.
Bellator? GSP? Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. That's also
No,
one of mine too, although I can't wrestle.
that's the fight I want to see though. Is GSP and Habib? I think that can happen at 55.
Mm-hmm.
GSP doing this fasting stuff, and I think he did a trial cut to 55, and I think he made it. If you see any of his stuff these days, he looks skinny,
No.
like lean and strong,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like a lightweight version of GSP, which is scary to think about.
Yeah, because he was a big 170, and for him to get down that low, he'd be a huge 155, 160. I think that they should do the 160, 160, 165 or something like that belt. That'd be awesome.
Yes, call it super lightweight or something like that. And what better fight than a Habib and Saint Pierre to kick off the weight class than a 165. I don't know why they're opposed to it, because they want to have a main event with the title for like every event. Like that's what they want to do. So why not make another belt and in between two most popular weight classes?
Because there's definitely a backlog of really good fighters that are at that 155 and 170. I'd say especially a year ago, and now they're sort of
remember
figuring
when
out
Kevin Lee
top
was
10,
supposed
right?
to be champ?
Yeah.
Now who did he run into? He ran into so many guys. He ran into
Charles Oliveira. Oliveira
Yeah.
tapped him out not too long ago.
Yeah. He's on like an 8-fight win streak.
Yeah. Who does he have next? Charles got somebody next that's a pretty big banger. I can't remember now. Shoot, is it Dos Anjos or?
I was just thinking that name, but isn't he at 170? Or is he dropping?
Oh, yeah, Dos Anjos is 170 now. So, yeah, it's not him. So, man, I can't remember who it is now. But it's going to be somebody said this would be a dream match. That's what it was. Oliveira versus Ferguson. That would be a good one. Yeah.
Who gets to stop that? Yeah.
I think Ferguson keeps it standing because Charles doesn't wrestle very well. He's got great jiu-jitsu, but I think
his striking looks really sharp.
It is getting better. Yeah. It's definitely moved up a heck of a lot since his last, not just last, but over the years, and now it's gotten better. But I think El Kukui has the footwork, the dynamic striking, awkward angles, awkward head movement. Because if somebody's just learning how to strike, they're used to the standard striking versus, okay, now I'm on this guy. No one's a carbon copy and can mimic Ferguson as much,
I got 2 questions off of that. Was one, it had something to do with Gaethje. Do you think do you think Justin Gaethje took like years off of Ferguson's life in that fight?
Yeah.
Or like maybe bouts off his career,
Yeah, I believe so, because of the chin is like this. Your chin, when it gets taxed like that, even though you're not getting knocked out cold or starched, it's starting to put that chink in that armor, and that looked like that was just
the start of the decline.
Yeah, I'd like to see what his next fight. If we keep it standing, then we see where his chin's at. It just seems like after that chin gets battered like that, even if he don't go out, I think that could play a role possibly.
When he shook his head, I was like, "Oh, that's CTE. That's CTE right there."
Yeah, something wasn't right. When I saw it, I was like, because it was like a twitch and shake at the same time, and
he's trying to clear his eyes or mind.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing was, have you paid attention to Trevor Whitman and his gear, his
Yeah,
Onyx brand.
Onyx. It's on my phone right now. I'm gonna order a pair of gloves, man. Yeah.
That's the next question was: have you invested in the gear? Have you tried it? What do you
Mhm.
like? But
I
you're gonna get a pair of gloves.
Yeah, I'll probably get a pair of gloves, put an order in like next week or something like that. I'll let you know how they are. If they're because he makes custom gloves and then he has a stock set of gloves. And so I'll just start off with the stock ones to see what they're like. Because I remember you commented a little bit ago on my glove collection. And I do collect gloves. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
got the nice display case. Um,
Yeah.
I just got a pair of Rival gloves. I mean, like
Hmm.
the cheap version.
Hmm.
But I was looking at the Whitman gloves, or the Onyx gloves,
Yeah.
because he talked about the design of the hand, and it made sense. And then headgear, we don't spar with headgear anymore.
Right. Same here.
But maybe this Gaethje, there's this Onyx brand headgear might be worth it for just
Hmm.
preventing cuts. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Right.
I I plan on fighting or sparring uh, every weekend for like the next 10 years. So why would I not wear headgear? You
Right.
know, we don't wear headgear anymore because it's like an invitation to hit people harder, and then
Hmm.
you have less vision and it's tough to breathe in. Um, but I don't know. I was thinking about that, and his shin guards are connected to the knee pad and all
Hmm.
that, and then there's like padding in the space between the ankle and the shin, and
Hmm.
it seems like a good investment for gear, but maybe after the Bellator money comes in.
But yeah, man, I definitely have been mesmerized by gear for years because I started designing gloves for my gym and then talking to people in Pakistan and giving them I cut up so many different pairs of gloves when I couldn't sleep. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm trying to get the perfect glove, you know." And so we started doing gloves and then I got hooked up with Venom. Then now I'm a Rival dealer now, so I do Rival, and so it's definitely where I study the gloves, and I love Hayabusa gloves too. I have a couple sets of those.
Say
Yeah,
what you said one more time about Rival.
I'm a Rival dealer, so I sell Rival gloves and gear. Yep.
Oh, sweet. I mean, I just got a pair. Um, and then you mentioned Venom. So
Hmm.
now the UFC Reebok deal is over
Yeah.
the end of the year. You think they're going to
Oh.
sign with Nike, Under Armour, or Venom? I mean, probably Nike.
Oh, I bet you possibly Nike. I would like to see Venom get that though. Venom has really stepped up their game with they're in boxing now. They
Loma.
do yeah, they do Lomachenko, they do Giorgio Petrosian's gear. They outfit a lot of I think they might do one. I don't know if they do one's gear or not. I have to look into that. I think they do, but I think that it would be really cool to see Venom snag UFC because that I love Venom gear. I think it's really cool. The good colors. They're not like too loud, but I see that. Yeah. Yeah, so
He's like,
I've
I'll
been
wear it one time.
yeah, I've been a fan of them for a very long time, definitely. And then I don't know. I know for a while, Century was making the UFC glove. I don't know if they still do, but they always made a really solid glove. Century did, so maybe they have people that do the gloves and they have people that do the clothing. Yeah, I wish I knew all the ins and outs of that. Yeah.
Money's on Venom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because they gotta get that name out there, and or else, hey, who knows? Hayabusa could throw their name out there because they're a glove of the year for heavy gloves. They're a glove of the year. Um, just last year, they put out that run T3 glove, I think it was. I have the Kenpeki ones, the brown ones, but then the Kenpeki glove is a really good glove. It's made just the T3 glove is made just like it. Where it has the plates so that you don't hurt your wrist, and then it also has a sweat thumb. So when you're sweating, you just take this thumb part that's sort of like cloth instead of like the leather, and you just wipe it across your forehead, and it sucks all the sweat right off your head.
I might need that.
Yeah. Yes, you do. You are a sweater. I almost forgot.
Yeah. It's
But
because I'm
yeah,
working hard.
yep, hard. And you're getting your water. You're getting your gallon to a gallon and a half a day, right?
Yes, yeah. You can't. I don't want to get a kidney stone. I've heard horror stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got one after a bodybuilding show one time, and oh my God, that changes your life, man. Definitely does. Well, I thank you for sitting down and just talking. I mean, like I said, it would be more like like a hangout session, which it was. We talked about martial arts, we talked about your gyms, your trainers, we talked even a little bit about bodybuilding, we talked about clothing, gloves, Venom, Rival.
Yeah,
So I think
how
it was a good
martial
one.
arts the best outlet ever. You know, getting people
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, definitely. So I really enjoyed it. I hope we can do this again. I want to give you the floor for you to be able to thank anybody and everybody that's helped you not only in martial arts, but outside of martial arts also. So the floor is yours.
Well, I mean, it's Father's Day, so I mean, I miss my dad, and he was a big part of who I am today. But you know, like my mom's been a big part of my life these last 3 years with him gone. So family's always important. And then like all those father figures, all those coaches, like I said, I had good coaches growing up, and that's like where I get some of my demeanor and like attitude. Um, so yes, Brock and Chris and those guys and Ben and but I just really, and also shout out to all my teammates because like they're those that's my circle. Those are my
Hmm.
circle. Like St. Cloud and St. Anthony, like those people, they mean the world to me. So like now that things are starting to open up and I'm seeing all those familiar faces, it's been pretty cool. I'm glad people are coming back, and I can't wait to see people at fights. You know, like getting that fight energy back.
Hmm.
Um, it's weird listening to these fights like Ferguson and Gaethje where there's no audience. That place would have been going nuts. The
Yeah.
energy would have been out of this world. So I
Hmm.
can't wait for that, and I'm looking forward to making the next walk for the fight.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and you have a good weekend.
You too.
Os.
Sir.
All right.